And to that piece of lieutenant that's always on his podcast, bash us, yeah.
All right, everybody, attention to roll call. So today's going to be a good one. Before we get into it, just want to give a big shout out to California Highway Patrol, and then a huge shout out to Laguna Beach PD for escorting Eric and his family and Derek and Louisa to where Derek will be receiving in-home hospice in Laguna Beach. Eric was jumping up and down, raving about these guys. He said they basically shut the whole town of Laguna down for him. He said they were nothing but nice. They invited him to train at their academy, to go to their jiu-jitsu school. So, he was like, that's the kind of department I want to work for. He's like, that made me want to be a cop again. So, and honestly, hearing him talk about it made me want to be a cop again too. So shout out to them. Shout out to Anthony Imperiato, CEO of Henry Rifles, who overnighted holy water from Lourdes, France to the beach to be administered to Derek. So shout out to everybody, your thoughts and your prayers, your donations, small donations, large donations. Again, we're keeping that fundraiser going. We're trying to fundraise. We're not giving up hope here. So wherever you're watching or listening, you will see a link to Derek's fundraiser. Please, if you can, donate. No donations too small. If you could like and share, we appreciate it. So, we appreciate everybody. Thank you all. We're going to miss Eric today, and I'm sure Eric's going to miss being on here today because we're going to have a little fun with this one. Obviously, everybody's seen. Article came out in the Post, came out in the Daily News. It's all over online, every social media handle. There is an NYPD detective who was found to be in a music video. Now, she didn't identify herself as a member of the NYPD. She wasn't in uniform. She was during this music video. I'll pull up some clips about it. We'll show it. We're going to bring in, this thing went national almost overnight. So we're going to actually bring in a retired LAPD sergeant, internal affairs investigator, just to get his point on it, because nationwide, this story has went and it has law enforcement buzzing. Should cops be allowed to do it? Should they not be allowed to do it? Is it a big deal? Is it not a big deal? So let's start to go around it. Sal, what are your thoughts going around first?
Well, yesterday on my show yesterday, which was live on the Finance Unfiltered YouTube channel, I cover this as breaking news, and then obviously there's more parts to this. But you're right; it's off duty, so I guess you could say it's a bad look. Just because it's a police officer in a video that's raunchy and, they're half naked. So in that retrospect, you could say, okay, it looks bad. It's wrong. Is she violating any procedures or policies? That could also be determined. We could think of yes or no. But I go back and use something like, all right, how does this look? We're just going to say that. I was pictured with Roger Stone, and everybody said it was a security and an insurrectionist. And they went with this narrative until they found a way to say criminal association, and you were done. Does this equate to something like that now? Now, here you are in a video. I don't know this guy's record, if he has one. Esquire, I've heard. I'm being told by people that know these people that these guys have records, a producer, and all these other guys involved. If that's the case, then you're criminally associating and you're going to be found guilty of something like that. Also, is it off-duty employment? They said I was uncompensated security. Did she make any money with this video? Which would then become a problem because the job will say, you didn't apply for off-duty, whatever it is, whatever you want to call this. So in that retrospect, should be wrong also. So there's we don't know exactly how this came about, but I'm pretty sure she'll be modified, suspended, come out because it's all over the place. And the big question really is not what we know, the unknown, because she worked for special victims. This guy referred saying that in an article. So again, but it comes up with the criminal association. Is she running names? Is she running running names, doing things for these people? And was she connected to Eddie Caban or the nightclub extortion people or Madry or any of these, figures that we've mentioned numerous times over the past few months in regards to anything corruption-wise? Because she got into special victims. People are saying she only had 7 years on. I know it's a very hard unit to get into as it is. So these are all questions you can all speculate. We really don't know. But no, it really does not look good, in my opinion. It just doesn't look good.
Marlon, what do you think about it? What are your opening thoughts? Like, you see this? What are you thinking?
Yeah. Opening thoughts. First of all, our thoughts and prayers are again with our brother Eric and his family right now. And we appreciate the support you guys have all lended to him right now. And a shout out to our brothers in the West Coast for the job they did. We appreciate it. So my thoughts on this one are standards. Like, what are they anymore? As I was reading this, I kept thinking about that. Like, well, what are the standards and what are the rules anymore? I mean, think of it. You can lie and create a fake vax card and you keep your job. You could have sex on duty. You retire, keep your pension. Well, what are the standards anymore? I thought we were a paramilitary organization with certain rules of conduct and discipline that must be adhered to on and off duty. So I when I see this, I have to wonder to myself, like, has the Overton window shifted so much that like things that would not be acceptable under, say, Ray Kelly's administration are now acceptable? I mean, there's a lot of nuance to this conversation because, she was off duty and I get that she didn't exactly identify herself as a police officer off duty while she was doing that. And yeah, people, you have a right to have a certain amount of freedom off duty. But I just want to know what are the standards anymore? Because certainly, like, it seems to me like the people getting in trouble are the people who actually, who just trying to go about their day job and, actually try to arrest people or so that's something we're going to keep coming back to as we head on into the discussion.
So, I mean, there's a lot here, dude. There's a lot of different things here, right? Like, so one, there's a lot of nuance to this conversation because one, you got to talk about labor. Like, what are your rights as a police officer? Now, Sal, I totally agree with you. If there were people that were criminal associating, I mean, in today's standard, considering they changed the definition of criminal association after they terminated you and then got found guilty. Well, they didn't get found guilty. Like, IB basically covered up the fact that they were actually doing exactly what they fired you for, actually much worse than what you were doing. And so they transferred some of those internal affairs investigators and then brought them back to internal affairs and put them in higher groups. So, so there is no standard around criminal association any longer. That's gone, right? So if it's there, that's conjecture because we don't really know that. We don't know if that kid's a perp, the rapper, or his producers, or the people that were there. If they were, to me, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's just as much as a problem as the police commissioner, the chief of department, deputy commissioner of operations, first deputy commissioner, chief of patrol, and all of them criminally associating, yet terminating you for it and releasing your records publicly about it and demonizing you. So to me, that's a problem. But we don't know that. We don't know that. We know that this girl, who nobody, by the way, would have known he was a cop, right? Eddie West brings it up here. He said, "Good morning, finest fam. Listen, I have zero issue with this. Pretty much all except family and friends would not have recognized her. 50A posted her IG, username, Instagram online. They really have to be stopped." Screw 50A. I say we're our own worst enemy. Because if I would have seen the video, I wouldn't have known she's a cop. And I know a lot of people in the NYPD, right? And most people who would have watched that video would have never known she's a cop. She didn't identify herself as a cop. there's a couple of things we can't do as cops, right? You can't be a locksmith. You can't be a bail bondsman. You can't install burglar alarms, right? You can't do that as a cop because they consider those things a conflict of interest. I never read anywhere you can't be a stripper, you can't be in music videos, you can't be in entertainment, you can't be a dancer. I get what you're saying. I understand it all. Like, I understand that there's standards and things that happened in the past. Specifically, there was a cop. I'll get her name. She was an NYPD cop. It was in '94, I believe. She was terminated for doing a Playboy shoot, but she did the Playboy shoot with her badge and her gun, right? And her shield. So she had the department logo. She identified herself as a cop. That thing went viral. I actually have the Playboy. She does that. She gets terminated. Department trial says, well, she had permission to work off duty. So now, does this girl have permission to work off duty? She needs that if she got paid. If not, there's going to be a department charge on that. But if she had permission to work off duty, is this covered? Right. And so what the department trial did in '94 is they said, well, considering she had off duty employment, we're not going to terminate her. We're going to modify her. But then when it got to Bill Bratton just terminated her anyway. She went on to have a successful career in television and film and radio anyway. But does she have off-duty employment approvement? That's the question. The other question is, if she didn't get paid, does she need off-duty appointment, or is this uncompensated? Is this uncompensated dancing? That's it. Let's go around again, and then we're going to bring up Marlon Marachi from LAPD.
I love it. It's this uncompensated? Just like, that's the word now. Uncompensated security, uncompensated video. Yeah. But I'll tell you, I wish Eric did. I see him on the comments. Shout out to you, Eric. I hope my thoughts and prayers with your family. I'm sure Eric would get a kick out of something like this. It's still, like you said, it's a lot of speculation and a lot of unknowns that happen. But on my show yesterday, I mentioned this. Remember the female cop in the 4-4 that had a lap dance on a lieutenant that they made like an everyday issue in the New York Post, try to destroy this young officer's career, and then the lieutenant who got transferred. And I think they punished the lieutenant. So if you're going off a standing like that, where somebody gave a lap dance that was filmed by other cops and put all over social media, well, this one's doing out a music video that over 1 million people saw, probably now millions, and it's all over the place, maybe MTV or whatever. So if you're, using one instance where it's almost the same behavior, and you crush the lieutenant and transfer him and embarrass this guy, then how do you let this one slip? Two wrongs don't make a right then. But that seems to be the issue with the NYPD, is that they don't treat everybody equal, and definitely when it comes to discipline or any disciplinary matters. So that's my one thing that I'm looking at is one situation was treated one way. So now how are we going to treat this when it's almost in the same ballpark? It's running around giving a lap dance on a video. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. You know what? About that female officer from back in the '90s, something I was thinking about. We don't exactly have that same level of privacy as we did in the '90s. Now, in 2025, like I always assume like I have no privacy, because the truth is, like, whatever you do outside there, at some point, it's going to end up in the media. If you do something that's captured on camera, it's going to end up on the internet, and someone somewhere is going to view it. So which I think it complicates the issue, because anything you're a cop 24 hours a day, and anything you do that's captured on film is going to eventually end up in the internet. And it's we have like legions of cop haters that who spend all day combing the internet and looking for things to get angry about the police about. You know, I think at some point, you know, whatever you do is gonna end up in their sites, and it's gonna end up on you know, 1PP is gonna get a hold of it. So that it's, I think it kind of changes the dynamic of you know, of what's expected of you, you know.
No, I agree. Listen, I've been saying for a long time, this department has a problem identifying talent. And the other thing we have to think about is why she wasn't assigned to the chief of department's office, and why she wasn't in the on duty for booty program, over the cash for ass program. You know, that's what I want to know. I personally believe she just probably liked her job and wanted to stay in special victims, because that's the question. Was she approached by former police commissioner Ed Caban or Chief Jeffrey Madry? I would say yes. If I was a betting man, I would say yes, she was approached for the cash for ass, the on-duty booty overtime program, where you could get unlimited amounts of overtime, and it's there's no problem there, right? You can't be arrested. You could actually do it from your home if you want. So at this time, I want to bring up to the stage Marlon Marachi, retired sergeant at LAPD. He was an LAPD internal affairs investigator. He now hosts a successful podcast, the IA Guy podcast. That's on YouTube. That's on every major platform. So, Marlon, welcome to the stage, brother. Marlon, we were going around about this NYPD detective that was captured on this music video, and we were correlating that to Carol Shire, NYPD cop, who was terminated in 90. I believe she gets terminated in 95 by Brand. But
except for the lap dance. Yeah, the lap dance.
No, not the lap dance. This is in 1994. NYPD cop, uniform, on Playboy, cover of Playboy. Playboy goes viral. She gets terminated for it. Little different here. You're an IA investigator. I know LA and the NYPD work differently, but what do you see? You see this video. What's your professional take on it versus your personal take on it?
Oh, yeah. Man, I love it. Thing is going viral, man. That thing is on and popping. I love it. First and foremost, man, another guy named Marlon, man. Marley Marl, man. I didn't get to meet you, but I get to meet you now. First and foremost, a couple of things come to mind. So we have to kind of differentiate between the work permit, if any, and the conduct unbecoming, which everybody loves to use that particular allegation, and it's a catch-all. It's a very, oh my God, you know what? This is just it's a cubo. It's an unbecoming conduct, whatever the case may be. So, yeah, man, I just got done listening to you guys a little bit before I came on, and let me just address first what Marlon said. I think for me is there's this, you should have known. So in other words, at some point, if you decided to do this, she had to have known that it was going to go public. And so that's one of the things that you're going to have to, analyze, as you're moving forward, because over here in LA, I'm going to tell you right now, that's an automatic IA. That's an IA no matter what. So let's just get that out of the way. Now, while you're investigating this, you got to take a couple of things in consideration. One, to your point, is there an off-duty work permit that she, number one, submitted, and that we went in through all the levels of review and actually approved it? Okay. If that's the case, and again, we're making a lot of assumptions, we're making a lot of speculations. I get all that, but if that's the case, then you know what? The department can't. I mean, it's kind of like you're tied. Your hands are tied in terms of adjudicating an internal affairs complaint. But my thinking is, and I'm just going to go out and say that I don't think so. I don't think that she submitted an off-duty work permit, because if that's the case, and somehow, some way, and here's the other thing too. she submits the off-duty work permit, and in the description of the actual work, right, the function, she doesn't put into detail exactly what it is. That could be the case too, right? And so that is going to be a line of questioning that you have to explore. You got to open up that door and get as many answers to your questions as it relates to the permit. Now, the permit in it.
Let me ask you though, dude. So let's say she has the work permit in LA. What happens with it versus not? What would be the outcome of this? Is this a termination offense? Is this a disciplinary?
You know what? I'm going to go out and say, everybody's saying, let's fire her. Let's do that. I don't think so, bro. That's just me. But then again, you got to take
the work permit.
Right. Well, like I was saying, a work permit in it itself is a very minor type of allegation. One, two, you got to take other things in consideration. You got to take her reputation, her character, her work performance, et cetera, in order to make that determination how to adjudicate this complaint. But here's the deal. It's just not a good look, bro. You can't, look, when you're, I was going to say, when I'm continuing to saying this, I'm thinking about this, is that, I mean, what happens to lawyers, doctors, and teachers? Bro, a principal found out that a teacher's doing this, you're out. You're done. And, and there is that saying, we're held to a higher standard. Well, you know what? As corny as that may sound, that's actually kind of true, man. You can't be going around, shaking that ass, in your thong and in a rap video, pole dancing. So now you got to start looking at the actual depiction of the video. And I'm going to tell you right now, man, that's a Cubo. I was going to say first degree, but that's a very unbecoming conduct. Look, that reflection, her action is negative. It's all course. I would say that probably this lens, it's probably going to be the department more than it is the community. And as and then what happens is you got to weigh out the detrimental value to this. So how detrimental is this to the department? In other words, do we actually have officers and detectives, whoever, right? Whoever's sworn to be conducting themselves off duty to seek work in this type of function? And the answer to the question is probably going to be like, no, dude, because if we allow this to happen, then, dude, everybody's going to put in a permit to go work, I don't know, other videos or maybe other, who knows? It's kind of like you're setting precedents. So it is a moral, ethical detriment, but that's going to far outweigh.
Well, here we go. But wait, now, Marlon, I'm going to say this now. We're all looking at her, and I don't know if she's associated with this one place and this individual I'm about to mention, but we have a plethora of not only officers that are linked to cronies, but executives that were hanging out at this place in the Bronx known as, I like to say, because I got a message about it, Con Sofrito, and it was owned by a mob associate. Actually, the brother of the police commissioner the actual police commissioner was always there. And it's managed and truly, we believe, owned by a mob associate, self-admitted criminal. Stuff like human trafficking was reported out of there. Okay, the police department took a report there for human trafficking, and it vanishes. And we have the attorney general and all these other political figures in this place.
Well, nobody stay on topic, though.
Nobody has been investigated for this thing, right? And this is something more serious that people would say this video or whatever would be stuff like that happening at that place. And there's videos and pictures of it. So if we're going to attack her and say she should be fired, well, I got a slew of people that did the same thing in front of other cops or worse in this place, Yeah.
That's the, I say this a lot when I teach internal affairs. No stone goes unturned. And you know what? The unfortunate part about investigating these type of allegations, that the door opens to all kinds of other stuff. You're right. We have to know the association between her and this particular rapper. We have to know the association between the rapper and this particular location. And then next thing you know, you end up with one allegation of off-duty work permit, a second allegation of unbecoming conduct an officer, or call it what you want, conduct of becoming an officer, aka Cubo, then you start looking into the famous association with a convicted felon, right? And look, overall, here's the deal, man, and this is the way I see it. It's just not a good look. That's not the kind of off-duty function you want your sworn officers to be doing. That's just me. Now, in terms of termination, I don't know, bro. I don't know. I don't know if you're going to terminate.
I just want to throw a little curveball in here because I see girls all day long, right? I don't want the department morally telling me what I need to do off duty because we've seen where they went morally during COVID and they were dead wrong and they were actually on the side of immorality. So, but claiming they were doing it under moral function. So I don't want the department doing that to any employees. Here's my real question. This girl goes out. She does that video. It goes viral. She has no idea. She's like, I don't know. My friend asked me to dance in a video. He's whatever. He's a rapper. I didn't think anybody was going to notice me. I didn't even get paid for it, whether she did or didn't, whatever. What is the difference between that? And I go online every day. I see girls and guys at the gym, in the gym bathroom, taking selfies of themselves, taking videos of themselves, exercising, tight clothes. What's the difference between this and that? That's what bothers me because I'm watching this girl. She doesn't identify herself. I get the girl that got fired, Carol Shire. There was a guy, Fast Freddy, I believe. He got fired from the NYPD. He was a stripper in the 80s. He got fired. There was another NYPD sergeant that she was in Beaver magazine, I believe, before she becomes a cop. She gets caught in Beaver magazine. I never seen Beaver magazine, but it's probably before we had the internet. But she gets caught that she's in Beaver magazine while she's already a cop, but that happened prior to employment. So she gets terminated, she gets a job back, and she stays on. This I'm watching, and I'm like, this girl is not really in any of those scenarios. She's off duty. She's not identifying herself. We're our own worst enemies. Because I'll tell you right now, she worked next to me, and I seen her in that rap video. I'm not calling IAB. I'm not letting the papers know. I'm not phoning it to the finest unfiltered. I'm not doing any of that stuff. That's why we got it a million times. We did not put this out online because we knew it would go viral. And I was like, I'm not touching this because
you're not the Blue Falcon. I agree. I'm not the Blue Falcon either. That ain't me, man. I'm down. Look, man, there's one reason why I never work vice, dude. I don't like arresting fine ass bitches, dude. That's just me. I'm not doing that. I got some dimes. That ain't me. I ain't trying to get all like that. But to your point, John, you're right. There's probably isn't any. Well, what I will say to counter a little bit of what you said is that the circumstances are different. Look, you go to a gym, selfie, the environment. Those circumstances are a little different than actually being. To Sal's point, in a location that is known to associate with, with criminals, and it's just a bad look. Now, with that being said, it's like anything else, right? Look, you go speeding, you speed right now, and you're going 75 or a 55, and you get caught. You're caught. No any different than this. She must have done a whole bunch of videos, and there's probably others that are doing videos like that. And the Blue Falcon leaks it. You got caught. Now we got to deal with it, but the cat's out of the bag. The question is, what do you do with it? And I'm not so much concerned about her gaining, money out of this. I'm somewhat concerned about the work permit because that work permit kind of spells a lot about how you're going to adjudicate this. Bro, if there's a work permit on file and it's approved, the department's kind of handcuffed. Not completely handcuffed, but they're going to be like, oh shit, we fucking allowed her to do this, and now we want to jam her up for doing this. That's going to be, that's different. Yeah, man. Whoever leaked this, bro, did her super dirty, bro. That's Blue Falcon first degree, 100%.
Listen, Marlon, what are you thinking about that? Because that's my thing. I look at all these girls on Instagram. They have. Whatever they have what's the difference between having a bathing suit?
Hey man, you know what? You're asking Marlon, Marlon, me, the dude. I'm there. I'm all over this. I'm all up in here. That is just me.
You know,
I think Marlon makes some great points about the permit. You know, I think if she had done that, that would have been a good way of covering herself. But I think the problem we're looking at is what's the fine line between say, well, at what point do you cross the line in terms of being raunchy? You know, because like you can, her having an Instagram page and being an Instagram model is fine, but her being in a raunchy video is, I don't think is a good look, you know. So there's
I
Well,
get it, but
that
like,
fine line.
which one does the department get to choose? Like, no, you could have a raunchy Instagram video, and you could take pictures in your bikini and
Yeah.
show your ass, but you can't do it on a music video. Like, where are we saying yes?
Yeah, where are we crossing the line?
Where
That's
are we
the
saying that the job's going to morally tell us what we can and can do off duty?
Well, here's the thing. I don't think she's necessarily going to get in trouble for being in the video. I think the video is the equivalent of say speeding on the highway in a red Hellcat, you know, and you haven't crossed you haven't necessarily broken the speed limit, but if there's a highway guy who's positioned on the highway watching, and he hears your Hellcat and he sees you're in a red Hellcat, he's gonna be looking at you, you know. So he's gonna be looking at you, probably waiting on you to cross that line, you know. So what I'm saying is what she's doing right now, because this video has gone viral, she's attracted attention from the job, and the job is probably gonna get her for the association or for other things, and not necessarily for being in a video, which is again is like she drew attention to herself, and now she's gonna get scrutiny about other things. So I think that fine line that between being like say raunchy content is not necessarily something that the job that we're ever going to be able to find an answer to. But once you do cross that line, you're going to attract attention from the job, and the job is going to find some other thing to get you on.
Yeah,
And that's
the
what
one that we should be, yeah, if I may, the one that we should be like going, man, I can't believe this, is whoever leaked this, man. That Blue Falcon gave the NYPD a hell of a just a problem to have this major discussion. One, two, look, if she was in a video and she was, you know how they have the, I mean, of course, I wouldn't know this about strip clubs, but you know how they have the ones that just serve the drinks, you know, and they're in their little outfits and they walk around and just give you drinks. Okay, so now we're looking at content, you know, to Marlon's point, it's the raunchy content, you know, so yeah, it just doesn't look good. But then again, for all we know, there might be others. There might be others. We might not even know that there is probably a whole bunch of NYPD female fine ass dimes doing OFs, working, you know, and so you know, you got caught, man. You got caught. My only thing is that one of the questions that I would have as an IA investigator in their compelled interview is something along the lines like, look, did you know about this particular video, the attire? Did you know what you were going to do? What were your duties in this particular video? In other words, what were you going to do? Were you asked to dance in a thong and in a bra? Is that something that you agree to? That's a very important question. Here's the other important question that we haven't even explored. And again, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but bro, we don't know what she's going to say in that compelled interview. You might get a misleading statement. You might get a false statement. You might have a work permit that says working in the entertainment club, very general, right? Or working in entertainment at a private club, and then you sign it. Okay, cool. Tell us about this. At the time that you actually signed this, what entertainment club were you actually talking about? And dude, that opens up the door to a whole bunch of different. Who knows what she's going to say, right? And it's just
But that's going down a rabbit hole, though. In my
that is going down right. But
Because
John,
right
but those
now, she goes
that's
in the
important.
interview. If she goes in the interview and she's like, "Yeah, I danced in the video. I didn't get paid. I didn't do off-duty employment. I danced." And my question is, and Sal, I want you to go next, Sal. But my question is this: how does that affect her job? If she goes on a stand on a criminal trial and they pull up the music video, okay. Oh, she dances. Oh, she's talented. Oh, she looks nice in a bikini. Like what? What is the impact on her job? And why is that more of an impact than if she had a slutty Instagram? And then why do we only look at girls with this? Like there's a bunch of dudes doing the same shit and we don't even look at them.
Well, I don't know if you looked at a 58, I think she's already on a naughty list. So being on the stand is not where she would want to be technically. But I'm going to flip the entire script on you. Let's say I'm a father of a daughter who's a victim of sexual assault or something like that. And now showing up to my house is this detective who I happen to recognize because her face is all over the place for being in a video. And she's going to interview my daughter for some kind of sexual assault or some kind of behavior. And there's somebody acting in a manner that wouldn't go along with someone who's going to interview my daughter who's been involved in something. How would I say that now? Do you understand? You got to look at it from that point of view and whether she's worthy of even staying in that unit.
Right. So to Sal's point right there, and let me just jump in there. That is your Cubo, right? Because that reflection is so negative on the department. Look, you have to, the shittiest part about this, the department is in a position where they have to say, okay, number one, what's reasonable, right? In terms of how we're going to handle this. Two is it's the look. How much responsibility do we have to the community, right? To ensure that this type of like raunchy content, going out there, I don't know, man. I don't know. You know what? And again, it goes back to she got caught. To your point, John, JD, man, you know what? There's probably a whole bunch of others out there, and it just takes one blue falcon to leak it. And here we go. So I just think the detriment outweighs the benefit. How beneficial is it for? That's another question you got to ask yourself. There's a benefit and there's a detriment. Which one outweighs? Does the detriment outweigh the benefit of us, right? Us NYPD sworn personnel working off duty. There's a lot of jobs so you can work off duty. So it's beneficial to the officer, right? To the detective, whoever's working. It's beneficial, but does that outweigh the detriment? And this is very detrimental just because of the fact that she was involved in this video where she's shaking her ass, at a strip joint. 1, 2, we don't know the association she has with that particular location, which is shitty. It's a shitty job because you have to ask all these questions and there's going to be an outcome.
I see the comments too, but I don't think people understand. It doesn't matter if she comes to your house in a thong. I'm not talking about that. I'm a father who has my daughter who's been a victim of sexual assault, which means it goes to special victims. And this officer who won't be in a thong, she comes as an officer, but I recognize her as the father. Wasn't her face all over with this video with some rap thing and she's half naked and she's coming to interview my daughter who was raped or whatever? That's what you got to forget about the police jargon, Joe Cop world. How are you being viewed by the taxpayer, by the people that pay your salary? Because that is what matters. That's what's going to matter. Yeah. And then if there's criminal association on top of it, then the job could sell. But at the very least, they're going to transfer her because this is not good for somebody who's going to be interviewing victims of sexual assault who can recognize, oh, wait a minute, you're up there dancing and think this is fine. And here's victims of the real thing that might find this traumatizing, including the parents or the family members. Because remember, you have to answer to them. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't look good on that end. Maybe the cops, we don't care, but those taxpayers and victims, they might care about this a lot.
Yeah, that lens. So I'm starting to think about it more. The lens of the community probably far outweighs any other lens.
Yeah, if I may also, remember when Cardi B showed up at the police academy? Well,
But
that that was
she's
a
not a
position.
cop. She's not a cop. She's not
Well,
a
no,
cop.
no, no.
But she is bad. Yes.
Yeah, she was brought in to
I thought she was an honorary
speak
cop,
to-
Sal. She doesn't have a parking plaque?
Yeah. Like.
Sorry, Marlon. Sorry.
No. Yeah, she was brought in to speak to young girls. You know, the NYPD was having a conference about young women and being role models, and here we brought in Cardi B as a figure to speak to these girls about being responsible and being a role model. So we can't have it both ways. Sal made a good point about professionalism, and where we can't have it both ways. Are we a professional police department or are we not? And
Yeah, that's
where we have standards that have to be upheld because we're a paramilitary organization. So there are standards of discipline and conduct that you have to adhere to. If she was, say, any other agency in the city, I mean, besides being a teacher, that'd be an issue too. But I really wouldn't care, But we
I
have
don't know,
standards.
man.
We're a military organization.
I don't know,
JD is
bro,
not.
dude. I
John
don't
B
know,
is
bro.
not convinced.
Listen, like I see all these teachers getting fired for being on OnlyFans. I'm like, it's a private website. She's getting fired for being on OnlyFans, but the dude that subscribed to her on OnlyFans is fine. And I'm like, wait. So it's morally wrong to be making money off your body, but it's perfectly fine to be spending your money jerking off at home. I'm not convinced that NYPD cops, without saying that they're NYPD cops or school teachers, because I'll be honest with you, I care what your conduct is and your character is. I'm not going to judge you for using your body to make money. I'm just not. I mean, we watch music videos. Everybody likes the music video. No one's sitting. You don't see any guys that are like, oh, this is terrible. I would never watch that. Do I want my daughter doing it? No. Do I want my nieces doing it? No. Do I want my sister doing it? No. Do I want my wife doing it? No. I don't. But who the hell am I to judge this girl morally? Why can't NYPD cops have an OnlyFans page? Why is it not okay for them to have an OnlyFans page, but it's perfectly fine for NYPD cops to to pay money to watch? That's my question. Is it not good to have cops? What do you guys think about that? I don't give a shit. It's two different things.
It's up to the community, because remember, if you're a responding officer, and here's the thing, she's in a special gig in a unit, special victims. If she was in a 5-0 precinct where she was, what are they going to do to her? Transfer or whatever? They probably just give you a slap on the wrist at worst, or switch your tour. But she's in special victims. She shouldn't be there after this, because again, you're going to respond to someone who probably will recognize you and have something to say, and you don't want that. That's bad, because that's a community thing. Yeah. So if the community, which are the taxpayers, say cops can have OnlyFans, I don't have a problem with some cop who's on OnlyFans responding to my, harassment complaint of my neighbor. Then that's okay. It's up to the community. The job, though, they have, again, these are rules, and again, they apply things arbitrarily. That's the other problem. So there's no uniformity with things, and that's another problem and another layer to it. But in this particular situation, at worst, the bare minimum, she can't be in special victims anymore after this video, because it was public. If nobody knew about it, nobody cares. Like they say, don't be that guy, don't be that girl, tag you that girl. So now you got to live with the repercussions.
Yeah, the other thing, John B, you bring up a good point also, is the fact that, you know what, you're going to have to revisit your social media policy and your off-duty policy. It's really that simple.
But Marlon, no, we found out the social media policy doesn't exist, because you could hang out with felons and all kinds of stuff, and it's okay. Apparently, depends which ones they are, especially some that are in one place in the Bronx in particular.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that, of course, but it's there's the shittiest part about all this is that they're going to look at her social media page and all kinds of stuff. And you know what? This is a phenomenon, especially. I know Dom does a good job, Izzo, and then Copville over there. And also, they both do a really good job with pointing out and extracting and making public about TikTok cops. And I happen to actually have a segment in my internal affairs 3-day course here in California, where we do talk about social media, we talk about TikTok cops, because there is case law out there about what content do you consider to be appropriate or inappropriate. And that's where you start, weighing out this balancing test. No any different than in this particular incident. You got to weigh it out. Okay, hold on a second here. Okay, even if she didn't have a permit, got it. She's out there working in a video. All right. Now that she's in this video, what is she doing in the video? Well, doesn't look all that great. A very promiscuous, and half of her body's fucking showing. To the eye of the community, it's just not a good look. To Sal's point, she shows up to conduct an investigation of a rape or of a child abuse or whatever the case may be. And next thing you know, they recognize her, and you know what? Mom and dad or someone is the only thing they're focused on when she, knocks on the door to come conduct that investigation. It's like, you know what? I know who she is. You might get a call and saying, you know what? I don't want this particular detective investigating, my daughter. Because it's just, she's all over the news, she's all over social media, and it's very, very inappropriate. That's the kind of community member that you have, right? So you got to take that in consideration. But again, one of the biggest questions is, do we set precedents by saying it's okay to do this? And I don't know what the answer to that question is, because it's going to set precedents. If we say it's okay to conduct ourselves in this way off duty, to do these type of videos like that, again, big difference between being the bar girl serving drinks, in your little fishnet outfit, compared to being in a video, stripping. That's a strip dance, pole dancing, no any different than a stripper would do. So then you got to ask yourself, I don't know, maybe in the interview, I ask her, hey, have you, were you a stripper before you became a police, or have you been done? Have you have you been a stripper in the past is one of the questions, because it looks like that's like a stripper type of a function. I don't know, man. It's tough. That's a rough one, man.
It's just, again,
Look, I blame
falls
the Blue Falcon. The Blue Falcon just gave the NYPD a platter that is just messy, dude, because there's so much that you have to analyze. There's so much that you have to examine. There's a lot that IA investigator, that better be a really good IA investigator and turn every single stone and ask those hard questions, because depending on that interview, and again, we don't know this, depending on that compelled interview with internal affairs, it's going to lead you to maybe other possible, I want to be quoted, possible framing of other allegations, because all you got right now is the off-duty work permit, and you have that conduct unbecoming.
Well, if I may, this is going to lead the NYPD down to, if the NYPD conducts a thorough investigation and there's policy changes after this, they're going to have to confront the situation that Sal brings up with Council Freedom, because you can't say this is okay and change the social media policy, and then that was okay. It's okay to go associating over there with people like that. So I think maybe I mean, it's unfortunate for her that she's going to be made an example, more than likely, but there might be some positive change that comes out of it,
Well, so we know Bratton's basically running the department now. And like let's call it what it is. Tish is like, she's just sitting. She's a figurehead. This is an absolute joke. The whole like it's just all propaganda. Bratton's running this department. So here you go. He is Fast Freddy. He was stripped of his gun. He was ultimately terminated for being a stripper. Naked Gun 2. You see that. He also terminated the girl that was in Playboy, that was in uniform. So I think we see a standard of what the NYPD says they're going to do. But going back, and everyone's talking about the Cardi B thing in the police academy. And that showed the hypocrisy of everything that happened, right? Like, so going back to that, now let's say this girl wasn't a cop. She's an entertainer. She's a performer. She's an entertainer. She's a performer. The NYPD has no problem bringing her to the police academy, has no problem talking women empowerment, has no problem doing any of these things. And so it's like, are we saying this is a bad profession now? Women can't dance? Like, what are we saying? Or women and men can't dance? And then how do we feel about fitness and fitness enthusiasts? And that's my point, is I just think this is a very slippery slope. I don't like this department preaching morality to me or anybody else, because they're the most immoral thing I've ever seen. You know, as it sits right now, we had an on-duty sex scandal where overtime was being traded for sex. No one has been arrested. The people who were actually stealing overtime while they were at home, the people who authorize it, have been promoted. Nobody's been arrested for any of this. Yet we're going to take this moment and be like, look at this person. Let's fire her. Let's do all of these things because we're going to teach morality. Like, really? You're going to teach me? I don't need this department. I don't need Bill Bratton teaching me morality. I don't need his op-eds about why putting a casino in Times Square is going to make us safer. I don't need any of these people teaching me morality, because I don't think that they're a good option. They don't uphold good standards for the department, and I think those standards have been diminished in the last decade.
Yeah.
And so now I'm sitting here and I'm saying, if we went upon based on the 90s, yeah, she gets terminated. If we go based upon Eric Adams' administration, I think she makes first grade. I don't see any problem. I say she makes first grade. She does overtime from home. I don't see any problem.
Before anything else, you'd have to prove that the whole point of criminal association, and that would even be a stretch for saying, oh, we're going to terminate her for that, because you didn't terminate all those people hanging out with Jimmy Rodriguez. So, again, she would have that to fall back on. At the minimum, again, she shouldn't be in special victims. And that, at best, right now, that's what you have. Right now, today, this morning, she shouldn't be in special victims. She should have already been. There should be a finest message with her name transferred to whatever precinct she wants to go to, or they think is deemed fit for her to be at right now while she's in this cloud right now, and that's it. Now, again, if she was associating with criminals or running names, and that's, again, we're stretching. We don't really know what it may or may not be. That's a different story. That's grounds for termination. As far as you mentioning Cardi B, that is actually in my own lawsuit, because remember, they fired me for this criminal association garbage, and they were all associating with her, who's like singing songs about killing cops. So that's a bigger issue than just what she does. At the bare minimum, she should be transferred out of special victims. And if that's the worst case scenario, then that's it. I don't see it more than, oh, we got to fire her for this. No, you need more than just this, to just fire someone, Yeah.
This should be a come to Jesus moment for the job, for finding, standards, for defining proper standards. But I don't think anything is going to happen to her, because ultimately Tish and 1PP does not want to wade into that quicksand, They don't want to. We've seen they don't want to have a proper investigation on the overtime nonsense or the cash for booty nonsense. So I don't expect there to be a proper investigation here.
Yeah,
transferring guys from internal affairs to Staten Island back to internal affairs. Yeah, that's punishment.
Yeah. In terms of adjudication, I'm thinking along the same lines. I just don't think this is a termination case. I actually think that perhaps here in LA we call it the kit room, which is your equipment room. You know what? Go to the kit room. Maybe no public contact. I don't know. It just depends. But in terms of terminating, cutting her off on the knees and just saying, you know what, you're done, and wipe our hands clean and say we're out of here. I don't know. I don't think so. That's just me.
So, all right.
That's why I never work vice, bro. I hate working. I had a buddy of mine who went to go work Vice, and he only lasted like 3 months. And I come back and say, "Hey, bro, what happened, man? How come you got out of Vice?" He goes, "Man, I don't like arresting fine ass bitches. That's just me. You know, I can't be going to strip joints and seeing all these, all these dimes, and I just can't do that. And that's why I never worked Vice. I can't do that either. That's just not me, man."
So, all right, people, we got about 800 people on here this morning. Thanks for joining. If you guys could do us a favor, like, subscribe, share it out. We appreciate it. We're talking about the NYPD detective that was recently found to be in a music video. And I really think what we're going around here is department policy versus morality. And according to department policy, there are a couple of professions you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to install burglar alarms. You're not allowed to be a lockpick. You're not allowed to be a bail bondsman. And that's about it. Doesn't say anything about being a stripper. Doesn't say anything about being a social media influencer. Doesn't say anything about dancing. Department policy requires that if you work off-duty employment, you put in an off-duty application. Now, we don't know if she did or she didn't. According to
Correct.
the news article is saying she was not paid. So if she wasn't paid, is she required to put an off-duty application? I think that's a question that we haven't explored. I say absolutely not, because then I have to put an off-duty application in for everything. I drove my mother to the hospital. I drove her to the doctor. I was doing uncompensated security as well as uncompensated taxi delivery service, as well as uncompensated security, uncompensated this. So I say no. I say she wasn't paid. She doesn't violate any of the prohibited professions. She doesn't, if she didn't need to put an off-duty application in, because if you need to put an off-duty application in for uncompensated things, then you need to put an off-duty application in for your entire life. Picked my kids up from school, went shopping for my wife. I'm a slave to my wife. I must do everything she asks. Here you go, off-duty application, off-duty application, off-duty application. Like, so I'm saying, I'm looking at this, and I'm saying she doesn't identify herself as an officer. She wasn't paid for it. She's not required to put an off-duty application in. What's the problem? We're just picking her out because some little rat sent her information. Like, oh, I know her. She's on the job and she won't give me the time of day, or she's hot and I don't like her, or I don't like her because she thinks she's hot shit, and sends it to IAB. So it's like, are we morally doing, is like, should we be going here? Should we be going here as a department? She didn't identify herself. No one knew who the hell she was until some other cop said, oh, look at who this is. I don't know about her detective track or anything. I could care less about her career. To me, the whole job is watered down. I'm looking at second grade detectives with 3 years on the job, 4 years on the job. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. So, like, I'm not even looking at any of that. I don't care about any of that. We're just talking solely about the video going public. Should she be disciplined? Should she be terminated? I say no. I say there should be absolutely an investigation done around all of this. Was she paid? Did she lie? Did she have an off-duty application in? Was she criminally associating? Was she in places that were unlawful? Yeah, because that traditionally happens. This 100% is an internal affairs investigation. But I'm saying access any of those things just on its face. To me, this is zero difference to me seeing her in this video than watching an off-duty NYPD cop who does not identify herself as an off-duty cop doing a workout video on Instagram. It's no different to me. I mean, like, what do you guys think about that? Is a workout videos raunchy? Because I say I watch a lot of raunchy workout videos from girls. I'm like, whoa, what the hell was that? Are you working out or you're doing something else? Like, what was that?
I don't know what the social media policies of today entail anymore, because we were told don't even be in uniform without permission, and now it's like they're in uniform hanging out with Jimmy Rodriguez. So I don't know. It's like, where are we? There's no definitive rule on this. It's in the patrol guide, but they only apply it when they feel like applying it. And if you're friends with Eddie Caban, you may never have to worry about that. So, again, you're falling on that whole line. And I just say, you let the community decide, because we also can't assume it was a cop that actually brought this to anyone's attention. It might have been some member of the community that said, I recognize her. She's a cop or whatever. What's she doing in the video? Because again, that's the opinion that matters. These are the people that matter. They're taxpayers, they're voters, and they pay a salary. So if one of those members care, then everyone should be caring because they have a problem with it or they want to question it. Because again, she shows up to someone's home as a special victims detective and trying to question your daughter who's a victim of a heinous crime. The parent might say, wait a minute, I recognize this person. And then the question here to her is then, if you're not getting paid, what the hell were you doing even getting involved with shady, seedy people? You're in a seedy place for shady people and you're on video for what? So again, this goes back to self-impressed people, which Eric Adams and his gang of goons are severely have a mental disorder when it comes to self-impression because they can't stop taking pictures and videos of themselves everywhere. Doesn't matter who or what. And I guess we come from the generation of they told us not to be doing that. You want to be almost incognito. You just want to be one out of 35,000 people while you're working. But these people on the Eric Adams, that's the complete opposite. And that's one thing I like to point out. Self-impression is a problem right now.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, hey, man, the cat's out of the bag. To your point, John D., look, people at the gym, what you consider to be raunchy, it's all over the place. No one needs to leak that. That's just in public. The fact that people are out there and to your lens, yeah, it doesn't look all that great. It's probably inappropriate. But the fact of the matter is, it's the circumstances. Being at a strip club, dancing, pole dancing, half naked, it's just not a good look, bro. The optics are going to outweigh anything else. You're right. The key word is work, whether you were working or not. Like I said before, off-duty work permit, that's a minor policy violation. I'm not really interested in that. What interests me the most is the unbecoming conduct. It's just a negative reflection, bro, on the eyes of the community. To Sal's point, that's the big tall order to examine and analyze and come up with a decision. Whatever that decision, that outcome is, I'm with you. I don't think it's a termination type of adjudication. But at the end of the day, whoever leaked this, that Blue Falcon, that rat, had a motive, had intentions to do so. And that sucks, man, because NYPD is, they're already busy enough with other bullshit. And this just adds on to the plate.
And so let's go around one more time. NY Marlon. Let's go around on this. Marlon, if you could, we have another topic that we might, I think that's we're going to follow up. We're going to talk about an overtime policy. We'd love to get your take on that if you don't mind hanging out for the next segment.
Okay.
So, all right, but Marlon, New York, let's go around one more time, all of us, about this, and let's close on this video.
You're muted, Marlon. Marlon, you're muted.
Marlon's the new Eric. His internet's messed up. He keeps on.
Yeah, switch to
on, Marlon,
Starlink then. Now, you made a good point earlier. You made a point earlier, John, about whether the NYPD should wade into this, and I don't think it's up to them. I think this was coming regardless, because what I think has happened is society has shifted with social media, and in a lot of ways, what happens with technology and the law is a lot of times technology runs ahead of the laws that we have, and then the laws have to catch up to that technology. Well, in this case, I think technology has ran ahead of NYPD policy, and in a lot of ways, the policy is now catching up to that technology. So I think we were headed for this one way or the other with Instagram and TikTok and these viral videos of these viral raunchy videos. But I think regardless of how the community feels, the question is, I think NYPD has to look at it like, do we want to what image do we want to present in the law enforcement community? 2 years ago, I spent some time in Florida, and I spoke to a couple deputies, and like a lot of the older guys, they kind of viewed us as kind of undisciplined. They would ask like, what's going on up there in New York? You guys, like, I'm seeing things that's like crazy, And my point is does the job want other departments to look at us like a joke? Because at one point we were like the face of law enforcement for this country. You want cops to wear that patch with a sense of pride and a sense of like you want when I would go to other departments, as an NYPD cop, I can't help but have a little swagger, because you think, look at all the crap that we go through in New York. Look at all the action that you see. Look at your arrests. A lot of cops here, we have arrests that guys, in 30-year careers never see. You see things here in like the first 5 years that guys with 20 years will never see. So the thing is so cops here have a certain degree of pride in their job. And does the job want to erode that? Does the job want us to become the laughing stock of law enforcement in the country? Because this is the question that we're facing. Standards have to be changed. There has to be standards. And regardless of how we feel about the morality of this, I think there has to be professional standards that have to be adhered to. Because if we don't adhere to them, we're going to become the laughing stock instead of what we were.
Yeah, I got this. Eric, you had the comment up. Eric Dim said, it's funny to me that the upper echelon will say, we can't have this while they watch this video over and over again for their entertainment. He's 100% correct. That will definitely be happening. It's probably happened so many times that
it's still doing it this morning, 100%.
Yeah, all the way till now, they're probably watching it over and over again. But it's actually Joe Roscoe makes this comment, and this is what I was alluding to. Nobody leaked it. She's an Instagram girl that loves attention. It's easy to recognize her. That's the being self-impressed part. That is how we came to learn about this whole nonsense that was going on at Concha Frito and all these people that hung out there. It's the self-impressed part, because it says in the article she didn't get paid for it. So then what is this about other than self-impression? So now is that going to be on the prohibited list of conduct on NYPD? You can't be self-impressed. I thought the social media policy was nothing in uniform. Don't be that guy or girl. Don't disgrace yourself for the job. I guess people forgot about that in the Eric Adams administration. But in the last 10 years or so, there's a lot more of that. I mean, I remember I was standing in Times Square, and John and Marlon, somebody, they would come over, oh, can you take pictures? And I said, absolutely not. You know why? I didn't want this picture to then become, you took a picture and this woman killed someone 15 years ago. I was terrified of taking pictures because that was what they told us. Don't take pictures with people because they might come back around and hit you with criminal association in uniform, or, that picture will go viral and you didn't get authorized by the police commissioner. So, I mean, these are the things that Bratton and Kelly were big on, and then nobody else cared after that, apparently, until all of a sudden now it's Bratton telling this police commissioner in name only what to do. So to be continued, and we'll see what they're going to do with this. Like I said, temporarily, at least, transferred out of special victims. If there's anything else, criminal association, then, of course, there'd be merits for termination.
Marlon, what are your final thoughts on it? LA Marlon.
I think I said in the pat, look, it's just not a good look. And there's going to be a lot of investigating to do in terms of the work permit issue and the conduct unbecoming. I know it's very broad. It's a catch-all, but just keep thinking about the negative reflection of the lens of the community as it relates to this type of behavior. And that's about it, man. It sucks. I don't think it's a termination case, but that's just me in terms of adjudicating. But the cat's out of the bag, man. You have to investigate, and you got to frame allegations, and you're gonna have to ask hard questions. and it's just the optics, and the detriment. It far outweighs any benefit she received, whether it's gifts, no money, or money, whatever. So yeah, man, NYPD it's got their plate full if they didn't have it already.
Yeah. No, Mike Smith's asking about the song lyrics. I can't play the song, they'll pull us down. But yeah, song lyrics are raunchy. The rap that we hear is raunchy today. The rap we listened to when we were kids was pretty raunchy. Some of it was much more violent than it is today, too. Rob Nappy says, John, the rules around off-duty employment and prohibited conduct and jobs are a lot more in depth than you make it sound. She found a loophole of sorts here. Again, I'm saying I'm off duty. I'm not acting as a cop. If I say I'm an entertainer, I'm an actor, I'm a dancer, I don't think the job has any business, or my CO has any business telling me what I can and cannot do off duty. I don't need it up to the a CO to make my objection of what I could. Oh, you passed one more test than me, so you could tell me how I can make money off duty or not. Or you could have a podcast, but you can't talk about these things, and that's objective to the commanding officer, and that's subjective. And that's arbitrary, and that's nonsense. So I think the rules around off-duty employment really need to be defined. I don't think they're that objective. I think they're objective. I think they're a lot more in depth depending on who the commanding officer is. And I don't think it should be like that. It shouldn't be up to, well, this is John's police department, and this is Sal's, and this is Rob's, and this is Ron's. I think we need clearly defined rules.
Yes.
I side with her only because I don't believe that the job could portray morality. I think it's dumb. I would advise any female in law enforcement or in any other profession against doing this unless you're in the entertainment industry, unless that's the career you're seeking. I would advise against this because of this. I say it often on this show. When you're a cop, you're a celebrity with the muscle, hopefully, and without the money, because anything you do, you're going to be front cover of the paper. You guys need to know every time. You are a walking celebrity. When you screw up or when you do something good, usually if you do something good, you'll be on the back cover of the paper. If you do something bad, you're going to be at the front cover of the paper. This girl made national headlines for dancing in a video. I mean, it's crazy to me. I agree with you guys. You should uphold the standard and the integrity of the department, but ultimately yourself. And I'm not saying this in a morality way, but the other problem when I look at this is people are bringing up how quickly she got the detective shield, how she got the detective shield. And I'll tell you right now that this whole watering down of giving people undeserved promotions, and I'm not saying that's the case with her here, but if it is, and she was giving a shield that she didn't earn, she didn't work for, that to me, you see a lack of care and a lack of standards. When you remove that standard and you give someone a promotion that was truly unearned, they're going to do dumber things that people who work their ass off to get that promotion would never do, because they hold on. They know what they had to go through to get there, and they're not going to risk anything, right? Sal took it to the extreme. He wouldn't even take a picture with Taurus in Times Square. You know what I mean? And because you're so worried about your appearance and your job because you worked so hard to get where you're at, you don't want to do anything to harm it, right? And so, I mean, all in all, it's a good conversation. I personally don't know what's going to happen, and I'm just going on the past. If we go on the past, she's got a big problem. If we go on what's happened under the Eric Adams administration, she'll be a first grader tomorrow, and she should expect to get about 2,500 hours of overtime a month, and from her home, and she'll be assigned to the chief of department office, or she may even go work in the deputy mayor's office. To me, what she did is nothing compared to all those people who lied, who put in fake vaccine cards, and who were lauded by NYPD Commissioner Ed Caban and Eric Adams, while my good brother here, Marlon Bethel, remains terminated for holding on to his integrity and holding on to his truth. So let's go on to the next topic with this. Overtime policy comes out, NYPD, right? I'm going to read this note real quick. So commanding officer / executive officer to have in-person meeting with retiring MOS and his or her immediate supervisor regarding overtime reporting guidelines to include vacation work requests. If assigned to permanent command, no overtime to be incurred. If assigned to outside command, make notification to outside command to request equalization be utilized and avoid using retiring MOS for overtime. No details except voluntary transit details, only allowing the voluntary sign up coinciding with their city time position role. So I'm not going to read the whole thing. I will go back into this, but just for the audience, just for the people who aren't police officers, LA Marlon, I'd like you to go first on this. So what's coming down now from the NYPD is retiring NYPD officers are being treated differently than officers who aren't retiring. We're telling people oh, you're retiring? Thank you for your service, but you're not allowed to do overtime anymore. To me, that's directly financially impacting officers. That is creating a two-tiered system. It's treating officers differently. You know, if there's an overtime policy, the way I look at it, if there's an overtime policy, the overtime policy should go through all members, not just retiring members. What do you think about that? I don't believe it's legal to do that. I believe it violates labor law to look at well, you're retiring now, so now you're no good to us anymore. And I know what you were doing last week, but you can't do that this week. The guy next to you, because he's a good guy and he's staying because he's double boosted, and he was on the casting couch and he never told anybody about it. That guy, he could continue to do it, but you can't do it. What do you think about the department having a separate overtime policy for retiring guys versus guys that aren't retiring?
Okay, so to my understanding, what you're telling me is that even if you're retired, you still have access to overtime details. Is that correct?
So you're retiring. You submit your papers. I plan on retiring, let's say 3 months, 2 months, 5 months. I submit my plans for retirement. Now I am being removed from overtime opportunity. I can no longer do overtime. I could only do very limited types of overtime. I can no longer do the overtime that I was doing prior to submitting for my retirement.
Oh no, that's a big no-no, bro. So the MTA, the contract here in the city of Los Angeles, we took it over from the sheriffs back in 2017, and 80% of the functions are based on overtime, and 20% is people who were assigned to Transit Services Division. So I worked there. I was there. That was my last stop, my last assignment before I retired. And yeah, Dad, hey man, if you retired, today is what, March 6th, March 7th. If you came into work, an overtime detail, and we're shooting the shit at one of the platforms, and you're like, yeah, man, I'm done in 6 months. Okay, cool, man. We're gonna miss you, but we're not gonna. If it doesn't matter, man. You're still sworn. You're still active. You're active until the day that you call it quits. Like you're done. The last day on the books. Yeah, man, that's kind of weird. NYPD is. You guys are no joke, bro. The only great thing about New York, what I forgot to say in the last segment, is you talked about raunchy rap music. Now today, you're right. Hey, man, if she was it's either if you don't have Try Call Question in your life, you're not you ain't it. If you don't have Tribe, Busta Rhymes, and the Woo, then I don't want to hear it. That's what it's all about. I just want to go on the record because that's all I listen to. But to this point, it sounds like an unfair labor type of issue. No way. Why would you do that? You mean to tell me that right now, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm the sergeant responsible for the overtime details at a precinct. Okay. And my partner tells me, hey, Marlon, man, I just submitted my paperwork for retirement and just wanted to let you know. And then all of a sudden I'd look and see, well, you got an overtime detail at the, Madison Square Garden, because all I can think of, next week. You mean to tell me I'm going to be the Blue Falcon and go tell the boss and say, hey, LT, what's John just got done telling me that he just put in his paperwork to retire and he has a shift next Monday. And I got to go back and tell him you can't work that shift because you put in submitted your paperwork for retirement. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, no, you got to give it to a rookie. You can't give it to a guy who's planning on retiring.
I'm done. I'm out of this show, bro. I'm gonna go enjoy my time here in LA because that I'm done. That's a mic drop. I can't contribute into this topic anymore. That is so shady, dude. That is, I mean, come on, bro. That's Blue Falcon first degree. That's buddy fucking like you wouldn't believe, man. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
you guys got a lot of Blue Falcons out in NY, bro. All over the place, man.
New York Mall. What do you think about that? Saying, all right, retired officer. No, you can't do that, but you're a good officer who's not retiring. You could do that.
Yeah. Well, this speaks. The theme of this episode should be about standards. What are the standards? What are the rules? Because if I'm a driver for Chief Magri, I'm raking up tons of overtime. If I'm Kaz Daughtry, who's supposed to be a civilian now, I can still rake up overtime. So what are the rules? It's like the what cuts to the heart of all these issues is that we have a multi-tiered system. Okay, we don't have equal standards for everybody. We have fiefdoms with rules for 1PP, rules for the borough, rules for the precincts, rules for whichever unit you're in. And even within those units, the rules only apply to you. Based on how close you are to the top of that unit. So, so we're gonna keep going into this pattern of NYPD issuing memos that specific memos which are really unnecessary if we had equal standards for everybody. But in addition to that, I made a tweet about that yesterday where I noted that, I mean, Tish isn't addressing the issue of attrition and the hemorrhaging, the brain drain of the NYPD right now, with guys with 20 years plus experience in like units that you need experienced officers in, like the squad. She's not addressing that, but we're going to address the fact that you're taking overtime as you're running out the door. It's okay for you to run out the door, but it's not okay if you're getting overtime as you're running out the door, So it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Where's our priorities here? Okay, this is a, this just speaks of the state that the NYPD is in right now, and how we have so many issues that really need addressing.
Listen, guy,
hey,
Marlon, I'm sorry to cut you off on this real quick, but I just got informed by somebody. There are 2 other GoFundMe right now for Derek, and they're completely fake. They're using the same exact information as Paul Manicone put on there. So Eric, if you're listening to this, do me a favor. I just forwarded you something on your Instagram account. Please check that out. Let's report those accounts. Paul, please report that account. And everybody on here, there's two GoFundMe accounts set up in Derek names, one for 20,000, the others for 8,000. They use the same exact information that Paul Manicone and Chrissy Manicone had put up, and they're completely fake. Infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. It's just criminal. Yeah, I'm going to get on the horn as soon as we get off this show with Eric. That is absolutely disgusting. Thank you, Christina, for sending that to us. We really appreciate it. So we're going to address that immediately. We're going to put this out on our social media, and we're going to make sure these people, they're absolutely disgusting. I'm sorry to cut you guys off. Sal, what are your thoughts on this overtime policy? I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, but those there's criminals everywhere. What can I say? That's disgusting. I see that a lot on GoFundMe. But on this overtime thing, I'm going to put two things here. Ron Layson said this, and Ron Layson's on Executive Perspective. I like his take on this because he was an executive. So he said two different issues here. I believe part of it is guys dropping OT slips for hundreds of hours as they walk out the door. That doesn't allow overtime to be properly monitored in the computer. Then he also said second is issue of limiting overtime after the sign to submit for retirement. That is unfair labor policy. So for me, I stated this on my own show yesterday. This is micromanaging 101. And really, I think they have a problem with tier 2. If you're on tier 2 in the NYPD, it's like they're going to try to mess with you on the way out the door. And it's funny how they're trying to hold accountable people that worked every single day. There's people like last year that worked overtime. They weren't doing the scam. They worked not like 8, 10, 12 hours overtime, sometimes each day, because they had to work in transit. There's no personnel. They were forced to work double shifts because there's nobody, again, in personnel. So you're going to hurt these people that are in their last months, a year, or whatever it is to walk out that door. And the people that took advantage of the police department, the taxpayers, ran around hanging out in shady places with seedy, all of this stuff, they walked. Some of them didn't even get modified, suspended. But you're going to hurt that person. That's what I hate. This job is notorious for that. And that memo is a slap in the face to all the hardworking people that are in their final months or years to retire, and you're hurting these people. And the only reaction is somebody messed up, chief of department and all those people. So we're going to come down on the worker and never hold those other people accountable. In fact, they transferred some people and then put them in another spot. So they just transferred them from internal affairs to Staten Island back into internal affairs. So, it's just musical chairs, rearranging the furniture. So I find it very troubling, Marlon. I don't know, but I think it's disgusting to go after the hardworking people and never hold anyone accountable.
Yeah, if I may, do retirees have uniform overtime details?
Yeah, everyone does. Yeah.
What?
So yeah, why treat them different, man? Just because they're out the door? That's man. Again, just creating a problem for no apparent reason, man. It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's the job.
So what? He's, now here's the deal. Some have to run their time. I think that's probably one of the issues, right? So they run their time. Is that what happens? So in other words, if I have like 3 months on the books of hours and I submitted my, retirement papers, so I'm home for 3 months. Let's just say it's vacation. Let's just say I have 3 months worth of vacation and I submitted my retirement papers. Well, shit. In those 3 months, dude, I can work like every day in overtime. Who cares? Who cares? Yeah, who cares? We want you to work.
They're trying to take that away, or they're even trying to say you're not allowed to incur anything. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why you're trying to punish this person.
Yeah,
right,
man. You ought to be thankful. You ought to be thankful you're taking the time off, in your off-duty time, whatever that time is, to come in at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and go work a shift. They should be thanking you for that.
Mm-hmm. So, guys, do me a favor. There's about 900 people on here. Ron, if you could do us a favor, I just sent you a text. Could you drop in the chat the link to those 2 GoFundMe pages? If you guys could do us a favor, follow those links and report those 2 GoFundMe pages that are set up in Derek's name. So what happened is we raised about $500,000 for Derek, who's fighting brain cancer. He's at home in hospice right now with Eric, which is why Eric's not here. And there's scammers out there trying to make money off the backs of sick kids that need it for treatment. So if you guys could just do us a favor, there's about 910 people on here. I hope to see about 900 complaints against these two, whoever these people are, that using the same exact information that Chrissy and Paul Manicone put up to fundraise for Derek. The fundraiser, the real link to the fundraiser is in this our chat if you do want to donate. There's about 500 and something $1,000 in there at this point. And guys, and just another point on this. This is why we don't like GoFundMe. I tell everybody, and we're going to start promoting them on this show very shortly. Fund the First is actually who you need to use. You need to use Fund the First for fundraising. Marlon, I'm going to hook you up with them as well for in LA. And this is a former NYPD detective started this because if you remember in 2020, GoFundMe was taking down fundraisers to protect cops.
Yeah.
Cops that were deemed in shoots or bad uses of force. So Fund the First does not discriminate. They allow you to fundraise. They verify the fundraisers prior to allowing the fundraiser. This is a huge failure in GoFundMe's part. So guys, if you're going to start a fundraiser in the future, I hope to only see Fund the First. I really do. We're going to be promoting for them very shortly. I sorry to take the show off, but this is an absolutely infuriating and disgusting. So, you know,
and thanks for all the information, John, Sal, Molly, Marl. Thanks for everything, man. I got to go. Happy Friday to everybody. You know, we'll talk soon and go to the YouTube channel to check out some good LAPD IA stories and some other good stories. And you can get a hold of me and Instagram as well, the IA Guy Podcast. So thank you so much for inviting me. I woke up early. Well, I always wake up early, but to be here, it's an honor, man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for coming, brother. And guys, definitely go check out the IA podcast. Sal's been on it. I've been on it. Eric's been on it. Marlon's been on it.
Marlon, you're next. I got to get a hold of Marlon. He's next.
We'll hook it up. Marlon, have a good day, brother. Take care. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Marlon.
So, yeah, listen, I think that huge labor issue. Marlon, are you able to get that in the chat for us, the link?
Yeah, if you send it.
I did. It's on your phone. It's on the text.
On the phone?
Yeah.
Let's see.
So I think 100% this is a violation of labor law. This is not something that could be done. You can't differentiate and say, all right, now you can't do this. I think the department needs, I think traditionally there's been a problem in the NYPD where people hold overtime slips and then drop them at the last minute. It's a sneaky, shady thing to do. It shouldn't be done. And the way to alleviate that problem, Jessica Tish and Bill Bratton and Ray Kelly, the way that you alleviate that problem is you have a standard. If you do not submit the overtime by this time, it will not be accepted. Overtime needs to be submitted ASAP. There are systems in place where overtime should be logged in and approved prior to it even being done, and then approved after it's done. This way, it avoids all of this. Everything's happening in real time. He's scheduled to do this overtime. Okay, he in fact did it. Check. Boom, it's over. You cannot separate out, say, oh, well, he's in retiring status and he can't get overtime. And I even think the same's true when you look at administrative functions and administrative overtime, and you see a guy who's modified or restricted. I don't see any reason those people can't be promoted and can't accrue overtime that other administrative people do. So I think you have a big problem with it, and you're not doing anything to address that. Sal, anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here? Because this has my blood boiling, and I want to take care of this immediately.
No, I know. I did want to touch up on one final thing. So there was an incident that happened in front of Citywide Traffic Task Force, the place I used to work with, that came up with the whole scheme there of how I got in trouble to begin with over nonsense because they don't like my friend who's a political figure. And there was an incident where I believe it was in the Daily News. A lot of car tires were apparently stabbed at on a midnight after 11 p.m. So I don't know if you noticed, but the chief of Manhattan South was livid about this, including all the way up to the police commissioner, threw John Shell, one of the worst, most vile human beings on the NYPD. So what happened here is, I don't know if you notice, they coaxed a couple of cops into signing command disciplines for this. And I'm going to just briefly tell you how Citywide Traffic Task Force operates. It's not a real precinct. It's just a traffic unit. So on a midnight there, it starts at 9:45 and it lasts till 6:45 or 6:30, something like 6:20. So your tour comes in, and it's really small. It's about 1 lieutenant, 2 sergeants, 4 cops. That's like the best you have. And there's usually 2 cars. One that goes to write summonses or make arrests, depends what it is. The other one has to stand behind to be station house security. So I'm going to give you the scenario when this happens. It happened on Tuesday night. There was a lieutenant working, and there's 2 sergeants. One that goes out of borough with the 2 cops that are going to go out and run around for how many hours it is. Another sergeant that's admin with the lieutenant. The lieutenant could go in and out, depends. And then 2 cops stay behind. The incident that occurred happened after 11 o'clock. They slashed like 20 tires on this block. It's on West 30th between 7th and 8th Avenue. The officer that's supposed to be outside that night was told by the lieutenant, don't worry, you come and stay behind the desk at 1:30 so that he takes his break. Now, I don't know why the sergeant isn't involved in this, because the sergeant apparently doesn't come down until 5:30 p.m. The other cop then, after that, goes back outside, and the second cop who's supposed to be there, he's outside. So they were told not to be outside until after 1:30 or something. So this incident happens, and then there's a big rush. This Manhattan chief, South chief, he's all upset because it made the newspaper. They hate when things go in the media. The next night, the ICO, and I know this person. Remember, I know these people, who he himself is a Consafrito guy. I don't know if you know that one. And he's links back to this Chief Rivera guy who used to be, he's a chief of patrol. Now he was a chief of traffic. So he's got his goons still lingering there. And he's also a Consafrito guy. And he comes in and says, well, these cops that were working at night and the lieutenant, you just sign this CD. You lose a couple of hours, and then that's it. It's going to be handled in-house. Lo and behold, just last night, 2 cops and a lieutenant were transferred to whatever precinct it was that they transferred. So the answer is not the lieutenant who calls the shots. It's the cop's fault for listening to the lieutenant as well. But the whole thing was coaxed via the CD. So, and also the delegate who was telling them, you sign that CD. You sign that CD. So now there's 2 cops with not only CDs on their record, they transferred, and a lieutenant, when they were saying it was all going to be held in-house. It's not a big deal. Coming from the ICO and the captain who said they don't know about the incident but knew about the incident. So this is what I want to tell you. The shady things that happened, it was John Shell is the exact guy with his finger on the pulse on this incident, because he can't handle just a little bit. Oh, there's one person. Just so you know, on this block, it's very hard to even notice car tires on a car. You drive by and see the car. You're only looking for damages on cars because you got to keep running around in a circle, because that's what station house security does in a place that technically doesn't really exist. I don't know if anyone was out there, but this is a place that's really shady. It's still full of these Consafrito guys running around. There's a sergeant over there too. He was over there all the time. So 2 people this morning are transferred for nothing, for listening to a lieutenant who's also transferred over an incident that you really can't do anything about. This was so quick. It happened in 10 minutes, and it's in between shift changes. So I just wanted to point that out, John, because it's just more stuff that's in, to add this layer of infuriation on top of what you just told me about this GoFundMe, which is this is a felony that the FBI should be looking at.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I just posted both of those GoFundMe links. If you guys could just do us a favor, copy those links, paste them in your browser, and report these. These are fake, absolutely disgusting. we're definitely gonna report all those. We'd appreciate if you guys could report it too. 935 people on here. Scammers trying to take advantage of sick kids. This is the problem with GoFundMe. Again, Fund the First should be anything everybody's using. It supports first responders, but even if you're not a first responder, I would contact them. Contact the CEO, Rob Garland. He's very approachable, easy guy to speak to. He's all over Instagram. Great person. I think terrible. Thank you guys. Nighthawk reported it. Tabitha reported it. Ron reported it. Guys, do us that favor. We're gonna get it out there on social media. But yeah, absolutely, Sal, you're 100% correct. Everything that's going on.
Well, we have Drone Ranger saying I'm an idiot. This guy, you got to, I don't know who you are. I don't know what kind of faceless coward you are. You have a lot of stuff to say. I picture you like this fat old cop that always complaining about things. What did you do as a human being? Because I think you're a zero. How about that? I see you always have something to say. Get a life or go enjoy retirement.
You can't get hooked by the comments, bro. That's it.
I'm just saying. I'm tired of this guy every time he says something stupid. Him and Juju have something in common. They're low information.
I mean, so what are you gonna do? You can't be. It is what it is. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the comments. Listen, you're right. You're 100% right, and we're definitely gonna on a later episode. We're gonna talk about all the mishmash of the transfers that have been happening. I know Mike Smith. I think Mike Smith wants to join us maybe next week, Mike, if you want to jump on with us. Definitely going to have Pat Donahue come on shortly. We have next week on a Wednesday, we're going to have retired NYPD Sergeant Jonathan Fredericks.
Oh, we have Pat Donahue. Guys, got to check him out. Pat yesterday was on fire. He's always great on comments. He knows his stuff. I can't wait to watch that. That's a good one. Thanks for coming on, Pat.
Yeah. No, Rob Nappy reported them. Thank you guys for reporting this. I mean, like I can't get over what the hell's happening here. So I really appreciate it. I don't mean to cut the show short, but I think I just want to address this. I want to make sure this is taken down and this gets done. Samantha, thank you. Joe, thank you. Crazy 10-7, thank you. I want to make sure that this gets taken down. This is horrible. Last thoughts before we get out of here. Marlon, you got anything for me, brother?
Yeah, I think one of the links have actually just been taken down.
All right, good.
One is down, but the second link is still up there. So, guys, if you can, please report that one as well, so we can get.
Is that money going to get returned though, Marlon? How's that work?
No money. There was no endorsement. There was nothing yet. One was for 20,000. One was for 8,000. Okay. None had received $1 yet. Christina, we owe you. I love you.
Yeah.
Thank you for always sending us stuff, and I owe you a lot. Thanks a lot. We appreciate this.
Yeah, the one for 20,000 is down. The 8,000 goal one is still up there. So let's do get that down.
Anyone out there, if you do Google Eric Dim, put his name in and with his son, and if you guys can, scour the internet if anybody's trying this scam, because there's only one fundraiser. So I'm sure the culprits in this are probably trying this on other platforms. So now we have to do a little digging. So I hate to cut this short today, but I mean this is going to take precedence. So we got to scour the web to see what else people are trying to do out there on other platforms. It's just disgusting.
Yeah, and shout out to everybody that reached out looking to do other fundraisers. Yeah. I appreciate all you guys, and this was the exact reason that we were just saying, please just go to the main fundraiser and donate there, is because of shit like this. This is unbelievable, dude. So let's just give final thoughts and get off. Again, I get it. I don't think it's smart. I don't want my wife doing it. I don't want my daughters doing it. I would advise any females in law enforcement or you're in a public service profession against it, even if you're not in public service, if you're in private service, because I think Marlon brought up a good point. What if you're a doctor? What if you're an accountant? What if you're a lawyer? Your firm's going to frown upon this. I definitely stuff that's going to be frowned upon. Is it the worst crime in the world? No, it's 100% not. But it's dumb. It's a bad look for you. It's a bad look for the department. But all in all, it always amazes me that things like this get national attention. and yet you've never seen a cover for what happened to Marlon Bethel or what happened to Sal Greco. And to me, that's ultimately the problem in media, and that's what we're trying to address on the Finest Unfiltered media platform. So shout out to all you guys. Sal, you got any final words before we get out of here?
Yeah, so I was actually, if you check out my show from yesterday, it's on the Finest Unfiltered on the front because we did the first live. And also, you go to the video section where there's all the previous episodes. I mean, I had an interview with Frank Morano. I had Jason Scoop. I mean, that should have a lot more views. I don't know if people even know about that page, but go on the Finest Unfiltered page, go to videos. You'll see all the previous Sal Greco shows. Yesterday's was live, so it should be underneath this, and you can watch that. We covered all this stuff. So thank you for everyone's support. Thank you also for everyone who has supported Eric Dim and his family. Please keep him in your thoughts and your prayers. And if you can't contribute, please trust me. My father passed away from glioblastoma, and again, I'm telling you, what you think may or may not be a lot. 500 grand is it's a small dent. You have no idea. This thing costs a lot, like in the millions. So please, if you continue, please contribute there and keep Eric in your thoughts. Eric, yeah, my brother, I miss you. I hope I hope everything's going well. Like, just I don't know what to say. This thing really got me going with this this GoFundMe thing. Please, everyone, report these clowns, these criminals, man. I'll come on my show next week, and I'll let you guys know when I go live. It'll be someday. I just take care of this GoFundMe thing.
Yeah. So right now it appears that both links are down. So good job, guys. But like John and Sal said, if you guys are scouring the internet and you come across any of these bogus links, please report it and bring it to anyone of our attention. So we can stop these scammers from trying to profit off of a sick child. But in terms of the discussion today, regardless of how we think about this situation, I think the bigger issue is about professionalism and it's just not a good look, like Marlon said. It's just not a good look. And we are ready. If this was the only thing going on, this would be less of a big deal. But there's so much going on with the job right now, and there's been so many bad looks for the job in the last couple of years that it's deteriorating the professionalism that the NYPD is supposed to represent. That patch is something that you go anywhere in the world and people respect you because they knew who we were. And when you have incidents like this, it degrades it. And at a certain point, like I said, those guys in Florida, those sheriffs in Florida, don't look at us the same way. We got to stop this now before we become a joke. I want to be able to be proud that I worked in the NYPD and not have to say I'm like a sanitation worker. No disrespect to sanitation workers, but you get my point. I want to be proud of being a former NYPD cop. Okay, so we got to knock this out, and we got to go back to the standards here.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. So listen, great job, everybody. So we got those two scumbags taken down. Eric's going to report them to the FBI and to the local authorities as well. Because honestly, it's a crime and they should be held accountable. Even you, Juju, shout out to you. Thank you guys for stepping up. We could put our differences aside and step up for things that are right and wrong. A friend told me one time, we don't have to agree on everything, but the things we agree on, we should build upon. And I think that's a great statement there. 100%. Yes, we raised over $500,000 for Eric Dim and his family, but it really is just a drop in the bucket. I mean, the amount of money the kid's spending daily and every day. So if you guys could see it in your hearts to even a small donation matters, please go over to the main GoFundMe that's ran by Chrissy and Paul Manicone, nobody else. And those links are wherever you're watching or listening to the show. If you're watching this show later on and you're on YouTube specifically, and you're missing portions of it, go over to our Rumble channel, go back to X and watch it, because I think a lot of that video is going to get taken down. But it was just worth it to show you the thing. So I appreciate you guys. Appreciate everybody. We'll be back at you Monday live, 8:05. And that's it, everybody. Listen, have a great weekend. And thanks everybody for hanging in there. We had 1,000 people with us the whole time. And, we, again, love all you guys, even the people that are coming out and smacking us too. Listen, this is what this is. This is America. We could agree to disagree. We could build on the things that we agree on. So thanks everybody. Find us Unfiltered, baby. We will be back at you Monday live 8:05.
There's a handful of retired officers that don't live in the state that have a lot to say about the dream team, as I like to call it. All of a sudden they retire and have a master plan on how to fight crime, but nothing to contribute when they were here. They want to come back and be part of the dream team. What can I say?
Law enforcement professionals dedicate their lives to serving and protecting our community, but who's protecting their financial futures? That's where Laidlaw Blue comes in. Our wealth management platform is specifically designed for the law enforcement community. Laidlaw Blue is a division within Laidlaw Wealth Management, run by retired New York City detective John McDermott. His status as a retired detective uniquely positions him to establish a deep connection between Laidlaw Blue and the law enforcement community. Our platform is easy to use and provides a range of financial services, including investment management, retirement planning, and insurance solutions. With Laidlaw Blue, you can secure your financial future and provide for your loved ones. Our team of experienced financial advisors understands the unique challenges and opportunities that law enforcement professionals face. We're here to help you navigate the complexities of financial planning and achieve your goals. Laidlaw Blue. Secure your financial future today. Book a meeting using the QR code displayed or call us directly on 888 901 Blue. That's 888 901 Blue.